Some guns are built to be pampered. Others are built to survive sandstorms, salt water, and decades of hard use without skipping a beat. But which ones actually earned that reputation? Not just through marketing hype, but through brutal field testing, real combat, and thousands of rounds of abuse? In this video, we'll talk about the top 10 most reliable guns ever made. Battle rifles, pistols, submachine guns, and shotguns that kept firing when others failed. We'll cover legends like the AK that fought in jungles and deserts, the Glock 17 that's still going strong after a 1,000,000-round torture test, and the Benelli M4 that can chew through anything from birdshot to slugs without a hiccup. We'll also look at old warhorses like the M1 Garand, and newer builds like the FN High Power Reboot. This list cuts through the fluff and gets to the cold hard facts. If you've ever wondered which firearms you'd actually trust in a worst case scenario, whether on the battlefield or during a bad day at home, stick around. Marlin 1894. First hitting the scene in the late 19th century, the rifle we now know as the Marlin 1894 was designed as an upgrade to the company's earlier compact lever guns. It found immediate popularity among fans of pistol caliber rifles, originally chambered in cartridges like 25-20, 32-20, 38-40, and 44-40. Its close-top receiver and side ejection system earned praise for working reliably in rough conditions and making it far easier to mount optics than many of its competitors. Marlin ceased production during the 1930s, but revived the rifle in 1969, this time beefing it up to handle the powerful 44 Magnum round. That move tapped into a growing interest in pairing rifles with revolvers chambered in the same cartridge, a combo favored by hunters, trail riders, and cowboy action shooters alike. More calibers followed, including .357 Magnum and .41 Magnum, all built around the same fast-pointing compact platform. The model's reputation took a hit after the 2011 Remington takeover, when complaints about fit and finish mounted. Eventually, production was put on hold. That changed when Ruger bought the Marlin brand and began turning things around. By 2023, they had reintroduced the rifle as the Marlin 1894 Classic, with tighter tolerances and restored build quality. One of the biggest selling points is still its ability to run the same ammo as your wheel gun. Whether you're simplifying your loadout or just appreciate the classic appeal, the 1894 covers a lot of ground: brush hunting, home defense, or ranch duty. It's light, fast cycling, and hits hard enough for most real-world tasks. Across more than a century, with a few stops and starts along the way, it's become a legend among lever-action fans, and its legacy continues even stronger now that it's under Ruger's stewardship. Glock 17. When Gaston Glock unveiled his polymer-framed pistol in the early 1980s, many gun enthusiasts shook their heads at the so-called plastic gun. That skepticism faded once folks saw the Glock 17 kept right on firing after punishing torture test. The Austrian army included it in a pistol trial and discovered that it handled water submersion, mud, ice, and just about anything else that might ruin a lesser design. Its polymer frame and striker-fired system only have 34 parts total, which means fewer potential points of failure. That simplicity is why Glock remains reliable, whether they're sitting in a safe, riding on a police officer's belt, or plunged in wet, gritty environments. In fact, it's not unusual to hear about Glocks enduring tens of thousands of rounds without a single misfire. There's even a story about a 1,000,000-round test done to prove how well it would hold up. The Glock 17 holds 17 rounds of 9mm in its standard magazine, weighs around 22 ounces unloaded, and uses a short recoil locked breech barrel. Numerous law enforcement agencies in the United States adopted it starting in the early 90s. Today, more than 60 countries have Glocks in their militaries or police forces, with Austria itself using the Glock 17 since 1982. Civilians can grab a basic Glock 17 for about $550 to $650, depending on the region. People might argue about how ugly it is, or whether the grip angle is a love it or hate it affair. Still, the Glock 17 remains a top contender for reliable sidearms. M1 Garand. Stepping back to the pre-World War II era, the U.S. Army introduced the M1 Garand as its first standard issue semi-automatic rifle in 1936. Generations of American servicemen later credit it with giving them a big firepower edge. The rifle loads from an 8-round in-block clip, firing .30-06 Springfield. It's about 9.5 pounds, so not exactly a featherweight, but the payoff is quick follow-up shots. During World War II, it saw use in Normandy, Italy, the Pacific, and beyond, then marched on through the Korean War. Soldiers appreciated that it let them lay down more rapid fire than an enemy armed with bolt actions. Garand's gas-operated design is fairly robust, using a long-stroke piston that provides enough oomph to work reliably. Some folks complained about its in-block clip, especially the risk of Garand thump if you're not careful, and others called the rifle heavy or clunky, but it demonstrated its worth in punishing weather conditions. The U.S. eventually replaced it with the M14, yet Garand rifles were distributed to many allied countries under military aid programs. Civilians looking for a classic can find M1 Garands through the Civilian Marksmanship Program or from collectors, typically paying around $900 to $1,400, depending on the condition and manufacturer. Those rifles are still a blast to shoot, literally, and the ping of the empty clip ejecting never gets old. Heckler & Koch HK-USP. While it might not get name-dropped as often as some of the usual legends, the HK-USP has earned a serious reputation for being nearly indestructible. Its purpose-built to handle punishment most pistols would choke on, and is known for shrugging off constant use with minimal maintenance. It's not just designed to survive harsh conditions, it thrives in them. The USP has no problem cycling hot plus P and even plus P plus ammunition, and there are reports of it handling 45 Super without modification. That's the kind of overbuilt engineering that turns a solid pistol into a trusted workhorse. One verified USP has reportedly fired 200,892 rounds without a single spring replacement. No recoil spring, no trigger return spring, nothing. That's the kind of performance that inspires confidence among those who carry it for duty, defense, or just serious training. The gun was originally tested to meet the demands of SOCOM's rigorous standards, and although it didn't win the final contract, its DNA lives on in the MK23, a pistol built for elite operators. Sure, it's not the lightest or cheapest option, with its price tag ranging from $1,150 to $1,250, but purists swear by the USP's reliability. Rain, mud, abuse, it just keeps running. If long-term toughness is a top priority, this one's built to last. FN High Power. The FN High Power is a modern twist on the old Garand Old Browning High Power, which was once one of the most common military pistols worldwide. John Browning's original design popularized the double-stack 9mm concept, and it stayed relevant for decades. FN decided to revamp it in 2022, keeping the general shape but upgrading key points. The pistol is heavy at about 40 ounces unloaded, and it's typically fed from a 17-round magazine. The factory single-action trigger usually breaks at around 4.5 pounds. The new geometry fixes the old feed ramp issue that plagued some original high powers with hollow points, and the magazine disconnect was removed. Fans of the old model might miss the nostalgia, but they'll appreciate the improved reliability. In test, you can shoot a variety of loads in 100-degree heat and have zero failures. This version is sold mainly to the civilian market at an MSRP of around $1,384. That's not cheap, but you get a thoroughly updated design that retains the essence of a historic pistol. SIG P226. Sig Sauer introduced the P226 for the U.S. XM9 trials in the early 1980s, hoping to replace the M1911. Though the Beretta M9 won on cost, the P226 still impressed many. It's usually chambered in 9mm, but versions in 40 S&W or 357 SIG exist. The standard weight is about 34 ounces, thanks to its alloy frame and stainless slide. That extra heft helps with muzzle flip and durability. Stories of the P226's reliability abound, especially from U.S. Navy SEALs, who designated it as the MK25. They needed something that could handle saltwater and high round counts, and the P226 fit the bill. Other agencies, from the FBI to the British police, also liked how it handled grit and kept shooting. The design is DASA with a decocking lever, so there's no manual safety to fuss over. Field stripping is straightforward. If you're a civilian, you can find base P226 models around $900 to $1,200, maybe more for special editions. It might look old school next to polymer pistols that weigh less, but it's a proven sidearm that many still trust implicitly. Colt Python. Among revolver enthusiasts, the Colt Python is often seen as the gold standard for durability and mechanical precision. From the moment it was introduced, the Python set itself apart with bank vault lockup, tight tolerances, and a reputation for soaking up 357 Magnum loads without breaking a sweat. Even today, shooters admire how smoothly it cycles, how crisply the trigger breaks, and how well it stays zeroed over time. What really earned it that legendary status was the alignment of its cylinder chambers to the bore, something that many cheaper revolvers never get quite right. The perfect alignment contributes not only to the Python's superb accuracy, but also its consistent operation. The frame and cylinder were built tougher than most, using advanced forging and heat treatment methods that gave it an edge in strength and longevity. Even the 2020 reboot has held up well after Colt made the top strap 30% beefier and fine-tuned the internals for modern ammo. Sure, early batches had some hiccups, but Colt addressed those quickly. Today's Pythons retain the classic look while being more forgiving to maintain. You might be running factory loads or super hot boutique hunting rounds like those screaming little monsters from Buffalo Bore. Whichever ammo you use, the Python will deliver dependable performance with every trigger pull. Tikka T3X. Built under the same umbrella as Seiko, the Tikka T3X has quietly become one of the most trusted bolt-action rifles on the market. It's not flashy, but it's consistent, often described as a rifle that just works, no matter the weather, terrain, or how many rounds you've put through it. Straight from the factory, these rifles are known to print sub-minute of angle groups, and many shooters report even tighter results with quality factory loads. A big part of that reliability comes from its slick, no-nonsense bolt system. The bolt throw is impressively smooth, almost hydraulic, and the two-lug design ensures solid lockup without unnecessary complexity. Shooters heading deep into the backcountry appreciate its lightweight design, especially the super light variants, chambered in popular cartridges like 6.5 Creedmoor or 308. Despite the reduced weight, recoil is kept manageable thanks to smart stock ergonomics and a cushioned butt pad. Feeding is smooth and reliable thanks to the single-stack detachable magazine, which rarely gives issues even after extended use. Add in the cold hammer-forged barrel, crafted with the same precision as more expensive rifles, and you've got a gun that holds zero through long shooting sessions without needing babying. Tikka also made the T3X platform modular, offering swappable grips and compatibility with a wide range of stocks and chassis for those wanting more customization. From mountain hunts to weekend range time, the T3X has carved out a reputation as a rifle you can count on, shot after shot. CZ75. The CZ75 emerged from Czechoslovakia in 1975, intended largely for foreign buyers instead of Warsaw-packed armies. Eventually, Western shooters caught on to its sturdy steel frame, inside the frame rail slide, and comfortable grip geometry. That internal slide arrangement helps with recoil control because the slide sits lower relative to the shooter's hand. While it never became the official sidearm for the entire Eastern Bloc, it found its way into Czech law enforcement and smaller militaries worldwide. Many owners boast about sending thousands of rounds through their CZ75 with minimal fuss. Common parts like the slide stop or trigger return spring might wear out eventually, but replacement is easy, and it seldom happens before thousands of rounds. The gun typically weighs around 35 ounces and holds 15 or 16 rounds in standard 9mm magazines. Some later variants, such as the CZ75 SP01, have been used by Czech police after passing NATO durability trials. American buyers can get a CZ75 for somewhere in the $550 to $700 range. The metal frame does add weight, but that's part of why it shoots so smoothly. Many enthusiasts appreciate that the platform can be upgraded with custom triggers, grips, or sights. If you prefer an all-steel pistol that's historically proven and shoots as smoothly as many more expensive models, the CZ75 might be exactly what you want. Benelli M4. Rounding out this list is the shotgun that made a name for itself in the U.S. Marine Corps, the Benelli M4. Known as the M1014 in military service, it was introduced in 1999 after the Marines asked Benelli for a 12-gauge that would reliably handle a wide range of shells. Its patented Argo system, which stands for auto-regulating gas-operated, or uses twin pistons that self-adjust to shell pressure, letting it run everything from lightweight birdshot to heavy slugs. The M4 typically weighs about 7.8 pounds and has an 18.5-inch barrel. Depending on the configuration, you either get 5+1 or 7+1 capacity. And there's a trick called ghost loading to squeeze in one more round on the lifter. Tests have shown that the M4 can survive over 20,000 shells without a thorough cleaning, which is exactly the kind of reliability the military wants. The Marine Corps keeps it as their go-to semi-auto shotgun, and it appears in multiple allied forces as well. Civilians can purchase it in the U.S. with minimal fuss, but they must watch out for 922R import rules if they want a full-length tube that holds 7 rounds. The starting price is around $1,700, which can climb higher for skeletonized stocks or special finishes. It's not just for the battlefield either. Home defenders who want absolute confidence in a semi-auto shotgun consider the M4 to be one of the best options around. If you want a 12-gauge semi-auto that shrugs off dust, water, and rough handling, you won't find anything more reliable than the Benelli M4. So there you have it, 10 of the most dependable, abuse-tolerant firearms ever built. Would you happen to own any of these? Got an interesting story about them? Sound off in the comments. We'd love to hear it. And if you enjoy these kind of breakdowns, hit like, share it with your friends, subscribe, and tap that bell icon for more. Thanks for watching.